In 1927, fans of Sherlock everywhere were super excited. Which are the best Sherlock Holmes story? This was a competition set by Conan Doyle himself. He had selected 12 short stories which he considered the best of the 44 already published in book form, and he'd given the list in a sealed envelope to the editor. The prize was £100 and a signed copy of each his autobiography, a Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes, and The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and this was to be given to the person who sent a list which coincided most closely with his own. And there was also 100 signed copies of his autobiography for the runners-up. An illustration from each story was given on the competition pages, and on the half title of the magazine they were numbered in the order they had appeared, so that The Adventures of the Cardboard Box, for example, was number 14. The readers were asked to make their choice by placing the numbers on a coupon which was printed at the end of the advertisement section, and to return it by the 26th of March, 1927. The Sherlock Holmes competition was by no means the first. One of the earliest, a Sherlock Holmes examination paper, had appeared in Titbits on the 21st of October, 1893. It consisted of 12 questions about the detective's methods, and there were 3 prizes. The examination proved very successful, and there was many correct entries. On the 6th of January, 1894, after the presumed death of Sherlock Holmes, Titbits announced another competition. The readers were asked to state which Sherlock Holmes story was their favourite. The one which had the most supporters would be judged the most popular, and the person who gave the best reasons for his choice would receive the Sherlock Holmes Memorial Prize. As with the later competition, the Speckled Band proved to be the most popular, with Silver Blaze and The Final Problem close behind. The winner of the 1927 competition was R.T. Norman, who named 10 of the 12 selected by Conan Doyle. 7 competitors chose 9, and a greater number were correct at 8. It was not surprising that nobody managed the full 12, as Doyle's choice was idiosyncratic, which he makes in his explanation, which is how I made my list. Conan Doyle's letter of how I made my list was printed in full, and I quote it. When this competition was first mooted, I went into it in the most light-hearted way, thinking it would be the easiest thing in the world to pick out 12 best Holmes stories. In practice, I found that I engaged myself in a serious task. In the first place, I had to read the stories myself with some care. Steep, weary work, as the Scottish landlady remarked. I began by eliminating altogether the last 12 stories, which are scattered through the Strand for the last 5 or 6 years. They are to come out in volume form, under the title The Case Book of Sherlock Holmes, but the public could not get at them easily. Had they been available, I would have put 2 of them in my team, namely The Lion's Mane and The Illustrious Client. The first of those is hampered by being told by Holmes itself, a method which I employed only twice, and it certainly cramps the narrative. On the other hand, the actual plot is amongst the best of the whole series, and for that, it deserves its place. The Illustrious Client, on the other hand, is not remarkable for the plot, but it has a certain dramatic quality and moves adequately in lofty circles, so I should have also found a place for it. However, with these being ruled out, I'm now faced with some 40-odd candidates to be weighed against each other. There are certainly some few an echo which has come from all parts of the world, and I think this is the final proof of merit of some sort. There is the grim snake story, The Speckled Band. That, I'm sure, will be on everyone's list. Next to that in popular favour, and in my own esteem, I would place the Red-Headed League and the Dancing Men, on account, in each case, of the originality of the plot. Then we could hardly leave out the story which deals with the only foe who really extends home, and which deceived the public and Watson into the erroneous inference of death. Also, I think the first story of all should go in, as it opened the path for the others, and it has more female interest than is usual. Finally, I think the story which essays the most difficult task of explaining away the alleged death of Holmes and also introduces such a villain as Colonel Sebastian Moran should have a place. This puts the final problem, a scandal in Bohemia, and the empty house upon our list, and we have our first half dozen. But now comes the crux. There are a number of stories which are really hard to separate. On the whole, I think I should find a place for the 5 orange pips, for though it is short, it has a dramatic quality of its own. So now there are only 5 places left. There are 2 stories which deal with high diplomacy and intrigue. They are both amongst the best of the series. The one is the Naval Treaty, and the other the Second Stain. There is no room for both of them in the team, and on the whole, I regard the latter as the better story. Therefore, we put it down for 8th place. And now which? The Devil's Foot has points. It is grim and new, and we'll give it 9th place. I think also that the Priory School was worth a place, if only for the dramatic moment when Holmes points the finger at the Duke. I have only 2 places left, and I hesitate between Silver Blaze, the Bruce Partington plans, the Crooked Man, the Man with the Twisted Lip, the Glorious Scot, the Greek Interpreter, the Reigate Squires, the Musgrave Ritual, and the Resident Patient. On which principle am I to choose 2 out of these? The racing detail in Silver Blaze is very faulty, so we must disqualify him. And there's little to choose between the others. A small thing would turn the scale. The Musgrave Ritual has a historical touch which gives it an added distinction. It is also a memory from Holmes's early life, so now we come to the very last. I might as well just draw the name out of a bag, for I see no reason to put one before the other, whatever their merit, and I make no claim for that. They are all as good as I could make them. On the whole, Holmes itself shows perhaps most ingenuity in the Reigate Squires, and therefore this shall be the 12th man in my team. It is, proverbially, a mistake for a judge to give his reasons, but I have analysed mine, if only to show that any competitors that I have taken some trouble to the matter. The list is therefore as follows: 1. The Speckled Band. 2. The Red-Headed League. 3. The Dancing Men. 4. The Final Problem. 5. A Scandal in Bohemia. 6. The Empty House. 7. The 5 Orange Pips. 8. The Second Stain. 9. The Devil's Foot. 10. The Priory School. 11. The Musgrave Ritual. And 12. The Reigate Squires. Do you agree with Conan Doyle's list? What are yours? Write them in the comments section. Also, take the time to like, subscribe, and tell your friends. And until the next episode, bye bye.